So now we're gonna look at our last installment of this Charis series that we're looking at, that we would normally have used grace. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with the word grace. In fact, in the new book I have, we're going to investigate the English word grace. And the English word grace could be a beautiful word if somehow religion didn't impose this definition of unmerited favor, even in other languages, right? I mean, so for instance, sometimes before a meal, we say, now let's say grace. What is that? Thankfulness. It's thankfulness, and yes, and in Spanish, the word, right? And so it's really a beautiful word. Religion came along and made it unmerited favor, So anyway, so now we're going to look at that final aspect of it, which is it's that Charis is the final outcome, and reframing grace beyond an offer. It's not an offer.
That's right.
Sovereignty never makes offers. It does things. God's in charge, and always has been. So let's look. We're just going to look at quickly a handful of verses. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4. We're going to read it first in the King James. Who will have all men to be saved and to come to the knowledge. Who will have all men. This is God's will, that all men be saved, But somehow men can override the will of God. So then their will's stronger than his, and or somehow Satan can do it. This is the will of God. Now, let's look at how that verse is translated in the concordant version. And I don't know if you see how much more powerful it is in the concordant version. Who wills that all mankind be saved and come to the realization. He wills it to happen. So in the first verse, in the first translation, we've come to think of that this is what God wants. He wishes he could save everyone. No, he wills it to happen. And what God wills happens. Declaring the end, the final outcome from the beginning and from long ago what is not yet done, saying, my plan will take place, and I will do all my will. That answers the question that Pridgeon raised and trying to get people to think about, will God's plan fail?
You just think that would be the end of the story.
That's the end of the story, isn't it? Yes, those two verses. Beautiful, done. Yeah, I'm done here, right? That's why I said this is going to be short. Right. So if God wills it to happen, he wills how many to be saved? All mankind. And my plan will take place and I will do all my will. Has there ever been a time anywhere on earth with any humanity or any part of God's creation where his will wasn't done? And the answer is no. Beautiful. Okay. God longs for what he makes. I love this. Job 14:15. Job says, you have a longing for the work of your hands. Job is talking about the death process and that he's going to die. And he's going to die and he's going to lay in the ground, but he knows that God will miss him and long for him. And at the appropriate time, he's going to call his name. And Job said, and I'm going to answer. He's going to say, hey, son, time to wake up. Why? Because he loves everything he made. Why would he love you? He made you. How beautiful is that? That's the final outcome. So the final outcome is Ephesians chapter 1, verse 10. To have an administration. We talked about that. We live in the administration of the secret. We live in the administration. He called it a secret because no one knew about the administration of joy. We live in the administration of joy. There's going to come an administration of the complement of the eras. The complement is to fill up. And all the eras, all the ages, all time, all its purpose will come to a head, to perfection, and it will be finished. The outcome will be complete. And what is it? To head up all in the Christ, both that are in the heavens and that are on the earth. All. That's the final outcome of God's plan. And as Mark has pointed out many times, and then we got on to it, Romans 11:36, for all is out of God. The world wasn't created out of nothing. He created it out of himself. And it's all operating through God, for in him we live and move and have our being. Live and move and have our being. Everything I do, everything you do is the movement of God and the will of God and the operation of God. Out of God, through God, and back to God. All. Romans 11:36 has to be one of the greatest verses in the entire Bible. And so now here we are at our grand conclusion, our last verse. And this will make you think a little bit. The judgment of joy. Got an explanation point. Do these words seem like they don't go together? Judgment and joy. You know what? We have been led to believe that judgment ends in hellfire and brimstone and punishment and retribution. And yet divine judgment is about fixing things. Israel praised God for his judgment. And we actually have a sense of that in our legal system. The trouble is what we normally think of as judgment is we think of being charged with a crime, being prosecuted and found guilty. But there's another element in the judicial system, and it's when you've been wronged and when something's wrong. And it is corrected, it is fixed. And the divine judgment is fixing things. Who doesn't want God to fix our life? Who doesn't want God to fix the world? Who doesn't want God to set things in their proper way? And he does it with joy. God will set everything right by joy. And here's an amazing verse that is completely hid from our understanding unless we get realization. Romans 2:16, in the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ according to. Did you realize Paul's gospel is going to be used as a universal judgment? Paul's gospel. Paul's gospel is not just applying today. That's the final outcome. And what is his gospel? The gospel of the joy of God. You know how much brokenness there is in the hidden recesses of our heart, in the secrets, just brokenness, and God's going to fix it all. It's all going to be good. It's all going somewhere beautifully. I was watching a show that had some Jewish people in it, and they quoted Hebrew, and then they translated it, and they said, "This too is for the good." Oh, it struck me. I love that. Talking about a bad situation. This too is for the good. I looked it up. It was actually a quote in the Talmud. And when I Googled it, it said that this vocalized the absolute sovereignty of God, even over the most worst situations. This too is for the good. And one day, the final outcome will be the joy of God spread over his whole creation. reconciled in beautiful harmony back to himself.